and my fellow G7s, my fellow Group 7s. Fuck yeah. Okay, so I'm going live because it's been a nagging thought of mine for a while to go live. Because I'm like, how can I get attention? How can I help people the way that I want to help people and just do the things that I want to do? And it was just like, go live, go live, go live. So here I am going live. And what I want to go over, or what I want to talk about on this live, is basically yesterday I was like, I'm going to do a 90-day challenge, a 90-day radically change my life challenge, because I got this little planner. I usually have a little planner like this, but it's time for me to be just honest with myself. It's like, I don't always stay as consistent as I would like to. I left the workforce 5 years ago. I left the 9 to 5 and been working online for 5 years now, which has been incredible. But I noticed that I haven't made strides. I just got to the point where I was free and I can travel. I'm in Bulgaria now. I'll be in Bali next month. But I never made the strides to really get myself to the next level. And I was like, that needs to end, and I did this little life map thing. And I just realized that there's so many places in my life that I am not where I want to be. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. I'm doing 90 days. And to be honest, I don't have a community, like a tight-knit community of people that I really am involved with. And that bothers me. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to go live. People can join me and everything like that. So 90 days, day one, what am I doing? So I took today to kind of outline the goals and the areas of my life that I want to increase. So one is finance and money, career and business, fun and hobbies. I've been a musician like my whole life. I mean, since I was 7 years old, I learned how to play piano and then guitar and then drums, and I played in bands. I don't spend a lot of time with my hobbies, which would be music and golf. And I was like, fuck, I need to do more of that. So that's pretty low. And then friends and society is pretty low. And learning and development, I have marked low, but it's not too low. I do read quite a bit. I do learn a lot, but that was an area that I wanted to fix. So I took the time to write all that out and say, okay, what do I really want to change and where do I want to go? And what goals can I set for myself to achieve that, So one goal that I set for myself is I'm starting to do my own thing now. Like, as an online entrepreneur, I guess I was a service provider. I was a copywriter for several people in the personal development industry. So I worked with lots of the mindset entrepreneur guys, and I was their copywriter for the last 5-6 years, where I got to learn all about this kind of stuff. But I learned at a very intellectual level. Same with spirituality. It's like I listened to a lot of Wayne Dyer, I listened to a lot of Alan Watts, I listened to a lot of those guys. I read Eckhart Tolle and all that stuff. And it's great. I do have a couple viewers. I'm glad to see you guys. But it was just at an intellectual level. And so I was like, So anyway, so I'm starting to do my own business thing. And so it's kind of going hand in hand. So my goals are going to be the monetary goals and the business goals are going to go hand in hand, because if I succeed at the business goals, then I'll always succeed at the monetary goals. It also does triple duty, because this is something that I really enjoy. This is something that I want to do, something that I'm passionate about talking about. So I also feel like it's a creative outlet for myself. And before I get into the goals and the habits that I'm looking to identify, I already came across things that could stop me. So some things that I noticed that could stop me is comparison. So as I went on to TikTok today to put in a post, I found myself seeing other things. I found a lot of Group 7 stuff. So again, shout out to Group 7. But I also saw a lot of different ideas about how to make money. And then it made me think, like, okay, so if I have a monetary goal, I was like, it could be so difficult to stick with a monetary goal, because there's so many people telling you how to make money. There's so many ways to make money that it's like, I think if your goal was strictly monetary, like if you're on platforms, that's really going to open the door to a lot of issues if because everyone's way of making money is always going to sound great. It's always going to be the best one, and there's no hate involved there. It's just like TikTok shop is great, wholesaling real estate is great, digital assets are great, all this stuff is great. But I feel like if your goal was strictly to make, say, 30, $50,000 a month, and you go on these platforms, like that's going to be that's difficult to stay focused on what it is that you actually want to do. So even though I have a monetary goal in mind that I want to achieve, I'm shifting the focus to the business goal instead, because then I can narrow my focus and say, okay, you know what? All of these other things are great, but here's the one that I chose. Here's the one that I want to do. And so doing that will lead me to the monetary goal. And so now I can begin to eliminate those distractions. And so that's going to be helping a lot. So in these 90 days, my monetary or my business goal is to begin selling 1,500 digital products per month. So we will see how that goes. I have one right now that's $17. I'm going to add a few more things to it, make it 27, and then I have an idea that I'm going to start developing for the next $27 product. And they're basically going to mirror what I'm doing right now, which is like, okay, here's what I want to overcome. I want to overcome passivity. I want to overcome, feeling lost, feeling purposeless, and all this stuff. And I want to help other guys do the same thing. So it's like one way that I'm doing that is obviously just being open, being visible. So I'm being visible and being open so that I can help work through that to help to hold myself accountable, and then to document what I'm doing to say, okay, here's what's working, here's what will work for you, and everybody who joins in with me. I just hope that you join in with me. But anyway, so that'll be the goal. So I have 2 quizzes right now. So going on my goal. So I want to sell 1,500 products per month, which will put me at that monetary goal, as well as the business goal. And then get about 1,000 to 2,000 people on my email list through my 2 quiz lead gens. So I have 2 quizzes right now, which I think are super helpful. So I'm going to tangent like a motherfucker on these things. So what I study is subconscious beliefs and patterns and identity. So like I said, I worked in the personal development industry for, 6 years now. And that was what I have found to be like the primary dictator of someone's life, is like what you subconsciously think about yourself, and the identity that you hold about yourself is always going to dictate the reality that you live. Okay. So until you can really change that identity, it's going to be a struggle, because if there's a piece of you that's, say, dating, right? If there's a piece of you that thinks all men are assholes, or that you're going to be left or abandoned, or you're going to get taken for granted, that's all you're going to find out there in the dating pool. If you think all rich people are jerks and you don't see yourself as a jerk, making money is always going to be a challenge, right? So I'd like to go live and like work through that with people. But anyway, so that's one thing that I'm really studying. That's one thing that is I'm kind of making my thing about, is like, how do you feel about yourself? How do you actually see yourself? And then working through that so that you can become unbounded, so that you can kind of get over those limitations, or find those patterns and limitations and get over them, get past them with neuro-linguistic programming and all that kind of stuff, to really change your mindset and change your outcome. So anyway, so one quiz that I have is like your full subconscious identity in all 9 areas of your life. You take these, you answer these questions, and it says, okay, here's where, your patterns or your beliefs around money, your patterns or your beliefs around relationships and career and everything like that, and how you can work through that. And then the other one is about money. So there's, 6 primary emotions that anybody can have that's going to give them their limiting beliefs. Okay. And so with money specifically, you have anger, you have fear, you have shame, you have these emotions that'll kind of drive the patterns in your life around any specific thing. And so I have a money mindset quiz. Now I have a subconscious identity quiz. So I'd like to get those bringing in leads into my email list, preferably about 1,000 a month by the end of these 90 days. And so I need to reverse engineer how I can do that, boosting posts on Instagram, TikTok, and things like that, to do all that stuff, True, but if you don't have that in the heart, you can just chase after things that you already have inside. But if you don't, that is true. Let me see that. True, but if you don't do that with heart, you just chase after things that you already have inside. So I think I know where you're going with that. And I appreciate the comment. Yes, I would love if you guys sent comments or questions and everything. Um, that is true. If I understand what you're saying. So chasing after things, that is a big problem that so many people get into. So many people get into that because everybody wants an outcome. Everybody wants the thing, whether that's money, whether that's cars, whether that's a relationship. Um, and that's ego, right? That's out of the ego because the ego wants a destination, it wants identity, it wants an outcome, but there actually is no outcomes in life, right? Like a relationship is not an outcome, marriage is not an outcome. That's a journey, right? So you enjoy that journey. Money should never be the outcome that anybody ever wants because, for one, only a very small percentage of people can actually ever get financially wealthy solely off of the desire to become wealthy. And the reason is, because inside the actual real you doesn't really care about money, right? We just want peace, happiness, joy, gratitude, and all those other kinds of things. That's what we really are. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. So, yeah, chasing after money, chasing after anything like that is always going to cause a struggle. And I actually sent out a post on TikTok. I think it came out already, but which is exactly like that. Like a monetary goal should not be your only goal because then you'll be distracted by the next best thing, for one. And for two, the real you doesn't actually want money. You want the emotion that you believe money gives you. I use the analogy all the time of like our lives are essentially standing around these big fucking walls, and you say nine for the 9 areas of your life. And we think, oh, to get what we want, we have to get to the other side, and the other side, like the obstacle. But we already have everything that we need inside because all we ever want is the emotion that we can get. So love, peace, gratitude, and everything. And we think, okay, we'll get peace and security if we have money. But really, no, because your mind and your ego, when you're in that mode, you're just going to find the next problem. So that's always an issue. Anyway, I'll get more into that more specifically. But so right now, day one of 90, I'm trying to bring more clarity to what I'm doing here. I want to take this idea that I have, these quizzes and these products, and get them in the hands of other people so that they as well can change their life. And so my goal is, like I said, 1,500 sales per month of digital products, 1,000 email subscribers each month. And then when I develop the community, so the community that I have is going to be a community that follows patterns and limiting beliefs and works through them. And then as well as just radical accountability, which I'm really fucking excited about. Because that's really what I want. I'd love to have other people working towards that accountability and changing their lives for the better. So that'll be what that is. And then the other ones are just learning and development. So I want to read at least one book per month. That's a pretty low goal. I mean, a lot of people do like one book per week, but it's also like, what is sustainable? Because if I do all of these things, I got to find, okay, I still want to have time for my partner. I still want to enjoy myself. I still want to do all these things. So one book per month, one course per month, and then like one personal development seminar and one professional development seminar each year, and then meditating daily. So habits are going to be exercising 7 days a week, 4 days lifting weights, 3 days conditioning for 60 minutes, learning for 30 minutes a day, and then 60 minutes on the mind. So like, I think a lot. One of my damaging patterns is overthinking. So quieting the mind is extremely important. So I'll do like 30 minutes of quieting the mind, 30 minutes of mental reprogramming with like hypnosis or another course like that. And sleep, fuck. I think I should really dwindle this down. So the first thing that I think anybody should do is the sleep habits. Son of a bitch. If there was anything that I have seen that's not only helped me, but has helped other people is getting their sleep on point. Every time when I look at back at periods of my life, the periods that I always see the most growth throughout the year are the periods where like I'm on point with my sleep, where I'm going to bed at 10 or 11 and waking up at 6. That's when I see the needle getting moved the furthest time and time again. So maybe I'll make this a little easier and just say on day 1 of 90 days is find a sleep routine that you can lock in on, you know? Can you lock into a sleep routine? Make sure that you're going to bed within an hour of your designated sleep time and waking up at the same time every day. Getting some sunshine on the face. So sleep, waking up 6 a.m., sunshine on the face, a quick visualization, into some deep work. Yeah, because that was something, like I said, when I did that a few months ago is when I developed my actual quizzes. Is like I would get up at 6, get some water, do a little bit of gratitude, get some sunshine on the face, and then I'd go into work. Like it was an hour. It was an hour and a half. Nobody else is awake, nothing else going on, and that was when I really created a lot of this business that I'm starting to do now. Was just no distractions. Here I am getting it done, and I move forward a lot with that. So step number 1, sleep patterns. So I already went through my goals for the most part. And then my fitness goal, like I do have a fitness goal, which is being about 210 pounds, about 12% body fat. So I'm roughly there. Like I said, my fitness is actually pretty good. That was one thing that I do keep pretty consistent with. So I want to remain consistent with that and introduce a little more conditioning, getting the heart rate up, because a lot of times I'll just lift weights, which is great, but I don't feel the energy spike as much as I do when I get the heart rate elevated. So that'll be a big one too. I need to change my sleep time because it's not good. Yeah, exactly. It's so impactful. It is so impactful. It's one thing that I hear a lot of people talk about. And it's one thing that, like I said, when I looked back at the times that I made the biggest strides, was always because I kept my sleep on point. My body knew when it was time to shut down. My body knew it was time to get up. My mind was programmed to just be like, all right, we're up now, it's work time. And it just like a mindless drone, I just did work. So I think, yeah, the sleep, absolutely crucial. And then, but going with that is like the night routine and the morning routine, right? It doesn't have to be an extravagant fucking thing. I think a lot of people get intimidated by this morning routine thing. I mean, really, if you just get up consistently, move a little bit, get some water, and then do whatever you're going to do. Like, I don't think a morning routine should consist of 3 hours of meditating and all that other kind of stuff. If you want to, you can. But like, if you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to get something going, it's like, man, the morning is when you have the highest amount of willpower. Oh, after you wake up, like once you're actually awake and moving, you have the highest amount of willpower. Like if your shoes are by the door with your workout clothes and you rub the sleep from your eye, you'll get those fucking shoes on and you'll go. Why set goals like that? The point is more to be healthy in mind and body, and other things will come. That is true. Exactly. And that is why, like I said, even though I'm pretty happy with my fitness, I still want to keep that going. So sleep and fitness are going to be at the top because, like I said, if I can make sure that my body understands the circadian rhythm that I want it to be under, I'm going to have more energy throughout the day, right? And then fitness is going to play into that because having a good physique, having a good body, it means that you respect yourself, right? And other people will see that and respect you too. So, and then you're going to feel better. Not only just in general, but you'll feel better about yourself. You'll look better. You'll have more confidence. So a lot of things follow that, right? And then in the mind, you're right. So my main habits that I have here are exercise, learn, mindfulness, and sleep. Because even though I have all these lofty goals of selling digital products and getting people on my email list, I do know that if those things aren't taken care of, if the mind and the body aren't taken care of, then all of those things are going to suffer. I know that because I experienced it. I know that when my sleep gets all off track, that everything else suffers. right? I know that if I don't take time to quiet my mind, I overthink myself into fight or flight all the time. It's one of my patterns. Okay. When are you in Bali? I am in Bali on November 1st. Yeah. What is your fun time? My fun time is golf. I love golf. Fuck, I love golf. And playing music. I've been a musician for a very long time. Throughout my 20s, I played in bands. I played in 4 bands at a time. Drummer, bass player, guitar player. So um, playing music has always been a huge part of my life. And that in writing. So I'm a copywriter by trade. That is how I left the workforce and was able to travel around as I took on clients as a copywriter. But I love to write. And so writing and music and golf are kind of my fun times, which is needs to be put in here because that was another one. That's as low as a 3 out of 10 is I don't put enough time into that. You look like Lindsay Lohan. Beautiful. Lindsay Lohan in her prime or Lindsay Lohan now? I don't know which one. I don't know what Lindsay Lohan looks like anymore. I just remember watching her in like the early 2000s. When should you do in that in you time? You time. If you're asking me directly, yes, scheduling in you time is important. I used to actually do that, and I'm going to do that more so now that I'm laying all this stuff out, is scheduling in time for yourself to just do whatever the fuck. So free time, right? And so I call it creative time, and that would be the times that I would write or play music. I don't have a guitar with me because I'm traveling. But that would be like the times when I pick up the guitar and play. That's yours too. Music or the fact that you look like Lindsay Lohan. That's your doppelganger. So anyway, to wrap it up, the habits that I'm going for is to exercise 60 minutes a day. I already got that one pretty much down. To learn 30 minutes a day. I do a pretty good job of that, but I really want to lock that in to make sure that I am reading or learning 30 minutes a day. Taking 60 minutes for the mind, that one's hit or miss, unfortunately. But each time I do take 60 minutes for the mind, 30 minutes to just slow the mind down, and then 30 minutes to like do some hypnosis or some reprogramming and stuff, my thoughts slow down. I get out of flight, my anxiety drops way down, and I'm just more present and more emotionally regulated. So that's going to be super crucial. And sleep. I'm going to aim to be in bed at 11, up at 6. And then the goals that I'm looking to do, 1,500 product sales a month, 1,000 email list subscribers per month. And then, the other goals will fall into those habits. So that's what I'm doing. And I hope you do the same. Anybody who's watching is like, what goals do you want? You know, the KPI. So like I said, 1,500 product sales a month. I'll probably do like TikTok shop. I'll upload like my programs into TikTok shop and see if anybody else wants to promote them for me. Boost posts and run some ads. No, that I don't. On my own time. So I'll probably prioritize like TikTok shop, see if I can get some affiliates in there to be doing the products. Especially once I explain it a little bit. You know, the program that I have, you know, I spent several $1,000s for personal mentorship and just reprogramming the mind. And so the program that I have is all about that. It's all about identifying the things that actually keep you stuck and how to work through them and to reshape your own personal identity and outlook. And then finding out the deeper reasons of why you want to succeed in life. And when you do that, man, it really reprograms you. I wouldn't be here exposing myself on live if I didn't do it. So I like that a lot. So anyway, probably focus on boosting posts, some Facebook ads, and TikTok shop to sell those things, and then boosting posts around the quizzes to get people in, and then working on my community, which will be like, it's designed for men. Because I really, the thing that I really want to do is, you know, I lost one of my best friends to drugs. Actually, right in front of me. Didn't know that he was addicted to drugs, and it sucked. It was really brutal. And I don't want to see that anymore. I know it's a big problem. Suicide is heavy in men. Substance abuse is heavy in men. Passivity and feeling lost is heavy in men. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to see that anymore. So that's kind of the why behind it, you know. So if you want to join me on this voyage, I would say that that would be, one of the first places to really look. It's like, why do you want to do this? You know, what goals do you actually want to achieve? What habits can you do that'll help you get there? So I don't know how much longer I'll stay live on here unless you guys ask some questions, unless there's some questions being asked. But anyway, yeah. I wanted to go live because I always feel like I talk too goddamn much for reels, for like little shorts. I love to chop it up. I love to talk. And so I guess that's why I'm doing this live here. And I appreciate, man. I got this, let me see this. Frida, I don't know how to say that. Frida Koyuwilan. I appreciate that. I appreciate you hanging out with me. I really do. And whoever else is here. Frida. Man, I appreciate you being here. So yeah. So for 6 years, I've studied the mind. I've studied mindfulness, studied spirituality, studied several other things like that. And now I am just trying to get clarity around how I can present that to other people, to help other people. Is heart on French? French? Is heart in French? Very nice. Are you French? You must be French, yeah? That is awesome. That is beautiful. So that's it in a nutshell. Yeah. Things to avoid. Things to avoid. And I spoke about it earlier. Frida is, one of my goals is monetary. But I think that focusing solely on monetary gain is difficult to actually achieve it. Because that's not what the heart actually wants and the real you actually cares about. But for two, it's because it's so distracting because it's just like, this way is better, this way is better, this way is better, this way is better. So one thing I'm going to limit is distractions on platforms in which my arm is getting pulled into different opportunities, to avoid that. Also, to avoid overstimulation. So that's a big one, is overstimulation as far as like coffee and nicotine and other things like that goes. Because I see that a lot and I do it all the time. It's been an ongoing struggle for me. But I noticed that the more that I develop that habit, right, of being overstimulated by all these things, the more that I don't feel normal unless I have it. It's not good. No, but when you read at university, I got that name because I was head in group activities. Oh, nice. Right on. I have more myself. A lot of fear to show who I am. Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, me too. And fear's a big one. If you worked on yourself a lot, you probably know that every human emotion stems from one of two emotions, which is either love or fear. And fear is the primary one. It's ego, edge God out, or earth guide only. And ego is the one that we get really programmed into. When you're born this little ball of perfect, and it's this world and our circumstances and the people in our lives that begin to program us into fear unknowingly, right? It's not anybody else's fault, and it's not our fault. Sometimes everyone's circumstances are different, but yeah, the isolation is a big one. Being left out, right? We spent so much of our existence as humans of like, if we don't fit in, then we get exiled, and that equals death. So fear is a big driver in our tribal patterning. But that's one thing, like I said, that I focus on is identifying the fear, because a lot of people, first off, won't even admit that they are run by fear. Secondly, they don't understand the actual fear that runs them. And we call those limiting beliefs, limiting patterns, right? It's where it's like, We don't even understand what it is that we believe that creates our identity or our attitudes, and we just unknowingly live that out, right? So, I mean, the fact that you're saying I have a lot of fear is actually very, very big, right? And you said you worked on yourself a little bit, and that's great. So, identifying like what actually is it that I'm afraid of, and then writing that out, right? Because whenever, and you probably know this, but like whenever we just leave things in our subconscious rattling around, we allow ourselves to be consumed and owned by that forever. But I think you should journal more than set goals if you don't know where we will go and have balance. Yes, but I think you should journal more than set. Journaling is great. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, getting those fears, getting those limitations out, and then proving them wrong is such a powerful place to start, right? Is getting them out. Okay, actually, I didn't know I believe that. Where did that come from? And a lot of times you're like, what, like I think one of my limiting beliefs or fears was that it takes a lot of money to make money. And I never knew that. I never consciously came to that conclusion. That was something that my father thought, but it held me back for a long time because I felt like, oh, there's nothing I can do until I have a lot of money. But then you can never fucking get money. Right? So, and then reverse engineering that, like, okay, so that's in there. First of all, it's easy to go because, or easy to be eliminated because you're like, I didn't even think about that conscious. That's not even one of my own. And then secondly, you can reverse and you flip it, right? You do the exercise of opposites and say, okay, well, is that actually true? No, it doesn't take money to get money. It just takes giving value, right? If I give someone value, they can give me money in exchange, however that is, whether that's entertainment, whether that's knowledge, whether that's whatever, right? You can leverage people to get money. You can leverage social media, right? How many people are coming on here and selling stuff for free, doing exactly this, but selling something? It's like, there's so many ways that somebody can make money that you can disprove that. And then once you work that in a little bit and you can journal on it, like you just said a little bit, then you start to develop a new automatic thought. Because ants, right? We all have so many automatic negative thoughts. That's just like when we see something, that's just our first thought is bam, automatic negative thought. I can't make money. Only rich kids can make money. Takes a lot of money to fucking make money. And then so when you work through that, you change that narrative, right? And so you're like, okay, no, it actually is just a value exchange. Money is nothing more than a tool that is value. It's our perceived value that we give in exchange for something that we want. If I supply something that somebody wants, then I can get money in return. I can leverage other people to do it. I can leverage platforms to do it. I can leverage all sorts of different things in which I don't need money. I don't need to spend $1 million on ads, right? I can leverage other people. Okay, so all those things begin to shift the way your automatic thoughts. And when your automatic thoughts shift, your identity shifts. And now when you're confronted with a challenge, you're no longer feeling that initial hesitation or resistance or negativity. You're now programmed into the brighter side of things, and that can start to change your reality, right? So like for me, I was like, oh man, who would ever fucking listen to me? Who would ever listen to me? And it's like, well, a lot of people probably would. So I was able to like work through that fear by just saying, I actually have a lot of things that are good to say. I think I present pretty well with what I know. I do learn a lot. I have spent 6 years literally hand in hand with some of the top mindset coaches and entrepreneurial coaches of our generation, literally working with them side by side. Of course, people would want to listen to me. Some people would. So being able to reverse engineer that, here I am live, just talking about it. So fears, acknowledging that you have fears is great. Working through them and then just putting yourself out there is going to change everything. Became the #1 fan. That's fucking sweet. Thank you, Michael David. Yeah. I really appreciate that. I'm liking this. This is great. This is the first time I've gone live. Should be absolutely honest with you. First time I have gone live. And that's just the message, right? Frida, like we're talking about. God, I love this. I love this quote. I don't know if it's a quote, it's a fucking story. So what's the main difference between cows and buffaloes? So both cows and buffaloes can sense a storm is coming. Okay. They both sense it. They know that it's coming. They feel it in their bones. And the difference is that cows run away from the storm and they continue to run away from the storm. They run until they're tired and they have to lay down for a second. The storm catches up with them. And then when they get their energy back, they get up and they run away from the storm again. And it just keeps them in the storm constantly in that storm until they finally tucker out and have to take a nap and get pissed on. And then the storm will finally pass over. But they prolong their exposure to it. Buffalo, they run right into the goddamn storm. They sense it coming and they run right into it. And they get wet, they get drenched, and they go through it. But they keep going. And then the storm passes and it's over. And their exposure to the storm was so much less. And that is so incredible because us humans are the same way, but we inadvertently are the cows, right? When something comes up, when we get triggered, when we don't like something, when all these things happen, we run away from the pain. We play into the fear instead of looking through it and just turning on the live for this specific example, you know? I think one thing that's kept me stuck so long is because when I found some success online and able to travel around and live a decent life, I didn't have any deeper reason why. I just started doing it, and it was okay, and it was fine. But then I saw that people thought I was doing a lot better than I was. You know, and even though I'm grateful for being able to travel to 20 different countries and do all this other kind of stuff, I kept myself there because my why wasn't to be fucking super rich. Like I can give a fuck about having a bunch of Ferraris and shit like that. Like whatever. And so I held myself pretty stagnant for a while. That fear that we're talking about, right, Frida? And just not progressing and then holding shame because I knew that people's lens of me was better than I guess the lens I had about myself, right? And I held a lot of shame about just being open about that, about just saying, actually, I'm not to the level that I want to be. I don't have the impact that I want or that I want to do. I don't have the income that you think I do. And it's a two-edged sword, For one, it's like that's a shitty way to think about myself because my life is pretty cool. I do get to travel around and do some cool shit. But it's also an awakening to say the more that I use that shame and fear to hide myself, the more I'm going to stay in that storm. The more I'm going to be a cow, staying stuck in that storm. So, yeah. And so that's why I want to do this 90-day thing. And that's why I wanted to share it. I wanted to share it with people. Just say, you know what? It's time to make something happen. If you want to make something happen, it's time to make something happen. And I might not be surrounded by a band of brothers like I like to yet. But I can create it. And the only way I can create it is if I put my face out there. So, yeah. Day one of 90. I don't know if I'm going to go live every single day. Be kind of cool though, huh? I mean, fuck, there ain't nobody wants to hear me talk more than me. I use that a lot. It's like my opening line whenever somebody wants me to speak at their wedding or something. It's like, give me a microphone at your own peril, because I'll fucking talk. Never thought. Yeah, it is true, It is true. And like I said, so working in this industry for that many years, that is the thing that I kept seeing. That is the number one thing. Everybody wants the outcome. Everybody buys a course to get the girl, to get the better body, to get the money. But The outcome is never what anybody actually wants. It's what you think you want because your ego makes you identify things. It makes you see things. Okay, that's the fucking gate. I got to go through the gate to get the thing. You have the thing all the time. So the motivation to actually get it is very low. But what really holds anybody back is fear. It's fear. It's the unknowing that you have these beliefs and these attitudes that run your whole fucking life. They literally run your whole life. You know, Tony Robbins says your identity is this incredible invisible force. It's completely invisible, but it runs your whole life. It runs your whole fucking life. Your whole fucking life. You know? Yeah. You know, another thing, Frida, you still with me? Yeah, I think you're still with me here. I'll be honest with you. You know, for a long time, my biggest pattern or limitation or thing that held me back was not feeling accepted by my mother. So that was kind of my core wound, right? I'm open to talk about it. I always felt not good enough, not smart enough, like I was always missing something. And I was talking with her actually yesterday, and a big realization happened because she likes to talk politics. We don't have to, and she's pretty democratic, which is fine. And I've become a little bit more conservative, and which is fine. And we were talking about stuff, and I was kind of feeling, you know, whatever, and unaccepted and all that kind of stuff. And then I recognized something. She was just moving the goalposts. Like she flipped her belief. So I don't want to get into politics too much, but she hates Trump, which is fine. But Trump has been doing a couple things that Democrats have wanted for years, but now that he's doing them, they fucking hate him. So again, I don't really care what your political affiliation is, but I saw that flip and I was like, you just flipped. Like, you don't, he said you don't want wars and all this stuff. Wars get ended, but because it was him that ended them, you're not happy with that. And I was like, wow, maybe that's why I always felt not smart, not good enough. It's because I'm trying to get the approval of somebody who constantly shifts their viewpoints. I was like, fuck. I was like, well, now I can give that to myself to understand, okay, well, here's my values. Here's what I stand for. And I don't need the approval of somebody who shifts the goalposts on me. That was a big one. And that was just yesterday. And I'm doing my first live today. It was like breaking that fear. But he has not end things. That is only a play game he do. Well, you know, again, I mean, it's, you know, is what it is. Yeah. So, okay, you see that. You see my point. Like I said, I'm not going to get into a political battle, but my point is, yeah, something happened that aligned with that viewpoint, but because it was not that party, we're changing our viewpoint. And I was like, so now it's like, okay, it took me a long time, but now it's like I finally can get over that fear to just give that acceptance to myself, to say, well, why would I want that acceptance from somebody who I obviously probably would never fucking get it? You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Frida? Like, how could I actually get it? Yeah. So anyway, getting off on a tangent. But I'm going to close this call here because I got to make some food. So in Bulgaria, it is 7:30. But day one, radically changing my life. Exercise 60 minutes, learn 30 minutes, mindfulness for 30 minutes, getting the sleep on point. KPIs for the business will follow. I'm going to have at least one or two work sessions each day, one for 2 hours, one for 3 hours. So 5 hours of dedicated work. I'm going to focus on building for the first bit, promoting for the second bit, and then delivering for the third bit. Okay. So that's my goal. I'm going to do a lot of posts around getting people into the fucking quizzes. I forgot that. And upselling the little programs. I just stopped thinking about my father and mother. Does that help? Does that help? 'Cause I'm not as definitely am interested in that. You know, here is 1829 on the evening. Yeah, you said you're in. I forget. Did you say you're in France? You said you're in university or something. 1829. So you're an hour behind me. So yeah, you're probably in West Europe, France or something. Yeah. God, I love East Europe. Sweden. Sweden. You did say Sweden. I'm sorry. That's right. You did say Sweden. Oh. Well, since you're with me, Frida, what would be, I think I'm going to go here pretty soon, but what would be something that you'd be interested in? So I haven't gone too far into my background or what I study, but I think you can understand kind of what I do study and what I do. Is there something that you would be interested in tuning in for? Something interesting that you'd like to learn about? I was thinking about doing my program that I was telling you about, the overcoming limiting beliefs and mental repatterning. I was thinking about doing it live here on TikTok. I'd love to. You know, having people join in and just doing a little workshop of overcoming limiting beliefs, negative patterns, and everything like that. I thought that would be kind of fun. See if people are interested in it. Or just talking BS. I'm not holding a lot of people. Should I have a lot of crazy shit in my background? Like, would that help? You think? I don't know. I don't know. I wondering to like same, but in my way and more creative stuff. I do a lot of different things. You do a lot of different things. What do you mean you do a lot of different things, which is hard sometimes? You like listening? Yeah. Yeah. Listening to what? I like listening to. I listen to a lot of Alan Watts and Wayne Dyer. Um, Eckhart Tolle, but I don't listen to him much. I like to read him. Writing, welding, craft and paint. Welding, that's interesting. Craft and painting, that's cool. Yeah, I love writing too. Learning a lot of new things. hmm Learning a lot of new things. I love learning new things. I really go down the rabbit hole a lot of just metaphysics, quantum physics, all that kind of stuff. And one thing, learning a lot of it, in the moment or learning it or being in it for a minute is it's very comforting. Especially a lot of Zen and Eastern religious practices and viewpoints, I find to be very, very comforting. But I was finding myself having a difficulty with it because I'm one of those that I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something. So a lot of Zen is understanding that you have nothing to do, you are being done, which is a great thing to understand, right? Your hair, you don't tell your hair to grow, you don't tell your nails to grow, you don't tell your body to grow, it just does, just like trees do, right? We're all in this together. But I didn't know, that didn't bring me a whole lot of comfort because it was like I still feel like I'm called to do something. And so I transitioned more towards Christianity at the moment. You know, where are you from? I'm originally from Seattle, Washington, in the States. Um, but yeah, living in Bulgaria. Moved over to Bulgaria a couple years ago. And I'm in and out all the time because I can't just stay here, right? I don't have a Bulgarian residency. So I travel around Europe quite a bit. But yeah, I've been here. Yeah, It's been nice, but I'm moving on. Moving on. Came here for a Bulgarian woman, a while ago, and now it's time to move on. So, moving on. So, are you in group 7, by the way? That's been a big one. I didn't know that was going to take off. I saw that group 7 video a couple days ago, and I logged back in like this morning, and it was wild, man. Group 7. Where will you go now? I'm going to Bali. I'm going to be in Bali for all of November. Okay, yeah. Yeah, group 7 is a interesting little thing. But I appreciate that you're not in group 7 and you're here checking this out. So yeah, I'll be in Bali for a month, which I'm super stoked for. Not really going there for much for vacation. I'm going there for community, and I'll be there for a month. And then December, I'm heading back to the States and Canada. So I'll be there for a while, and yeah, super stoked on that. So yeah, I've never been to Bali, but I keep hearing that it's full of entrepreneurs and people who like to work out and work on business. So I'm gonna go check that out for a while. Hey man, I appreciate that. Janovium. Appreciate that, man. Absolutely. Hope you have an amazing day as well. Hope you have an amazing day as well. All right. I think I've laid it out. I think I've talked about what I'm going to do over the next 90 days, the habits that I'm doing, the goals that I'm looking to do. Fuck, I would love it if you guys joined along with me and did your own 90-day challenge. Join in with me as well. And just made some things happen, man. You know, blow the doors off this thing. So peace, love, happiness to you all. Frida, thank you so much for hanging in there with me. It's been absolutely amazing. So I hope that there was some value that you got from there, and have a great rest of your day. Yes, thank you. Spiritual congruency. Stick with me here. This is something that I find extremely interesting, and I think you might as well. So, you see any of my other content, you'll notice that I study a lot of spirituality, a lot of like Hindu, Zen, Buddhism, even Christianity, and some other things like that, and metaphysics, just understanding the world, the universe, the mind, spirituality, and all this other kind of stuff. And even though I feel like there's so
Fighting writer's block. Aren't we all? I had to relearn a lesson I've learned many times before, and that is that you can completely create a world based on dialogue. You don't